Front side
Needs to be player-centric.
in my estimation. All of these things matter.
All right, here we go. Everybody ready? From the Bolt Studio on the campus of St. John's University, this is The Conversation. I am Tommy Weber, brought to you by our crack St. John's University Sport Management majors. This is The Conversation with Tommy Weber. Welcome to The Conversation. I'm Tommy Weber. With me today, my guest, Jack Tucker, St. John's University center fielder, preseason All-Big East 2024 All-Region team. Terrific player. Jack, welcome aboard.
Thank you for having me, Tommy.
My pleasure. So tell me, you're approaching your senior year. It's a draft year. Right? One of the questions I had for you that I thought about was how much attention do you pay to your draft stock, and how do you make sure that it doesn't distract you from what you need to do to have another great season like you did last year?
That's a great question. I mean, the older you get, the more you're able to deal with stuff like that, outside noise. It's always been a factor since you're a little kid, but, the older you get and more serious. But baseball you play, higher levels and stuff, it's inevitable for stuff like that to happen. But for me, like you said, this is my senior year. This is my second, time being, quote-unquote draft eligible, stuff like that. And the biggest difference for me, that I feel like has elevated my play even more from last year is my ability to not worry about the draft, just worry about going out there and playing for my team, playing, to win that pitch. And I feel like the difference for that was, my junior year and like in years past, I wanted to play professional baseball for, the clout, for the,
Sure.
to tell people that, I played professional baseball for the cute signing bonus, but the difference now is, I want to play professional baseball because I just want to keep playing baseball. I love the game. I have fun playing, and I just want to continue to play.
So you touched on something that I'm a big proponent of. I think you play best when you play to win.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think when you play to win, you take a lot of pressure off yourself and you avail yourself of the entire menu, right? If you hit a 10-hopper up the middle, that helps your team, right? Now you're playing to win. You're not concerned with how hard you hit that ball or how someone else sees how well you hit the ball. It doesn't matter. So I think you're onto something, and I think more guys should follow in your footsteps, because when you play to win, you really are kind of freewheeling it at that point, and you're by default shutting out the noise.
Mm-hmm.
So that really impresses me that a young guy like you is so hip to that at this point in time, and I think it bodes well for you to have a really great season this year. One of the things, I took a look at a lot of your swings and a lot of your at-bats, and I'm really just so impressed by your maturity as a hitter. Not only your mechanics, which everybody spends way too much time on anyway, but you do have great mechanics because you're an athlete. I'm sure you played more than one sport as a kid. You have all that. The
Football and baseball with our guy over there,
buddy,
Justin.
part of our audience today. One of the things you do really well is you stay in your posture as a hitter.
Mm-hmm.
You're really on the ground for a long time. And I know if you go on social media, you'll see this all the time.
The ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
right. And it's really hard to explain, and I don't like to explain it when working with a hitter. But the reality is when I see it, it's kind of like pornography. I can't describe it, but I know it when I see it. So you really do stay on the ground a long time. You stay in your posture a long time. And I'm just wondering, is that something you did, or is that just something you always had?
So that's a great point. And
two
when
in a row.
Yeah, but you texted me something like that when we were prepping for this. You like grabbed the ground, right? And when I was younger, I kind of did that super naturally. Like for me, I always was super closed off when I was younger, and I hit the ball really well. I hit the ball really hard, almost like I was stepping towards first base.
I feel. Yep.
Right? And because of that, my posture would always stay towards the right side, which is what a lot of guys try to do. When you're moving this way, chances are, if you're looking at your third base coach,
not good.
Not good. Chances are, it's not going to be good, like you said. But I always kind of did it naturally, and then for a little bit, we were
taught
talking
out of you.
Exactly. When we were just
Three for
talking
three.
about
I'm 3 for 3. Right? It does get taught out of you.
No, absolutely.
Nothing's new. Everybody thinks everything's new. Nothing's new. It's all been done before. And I love the idea. I love when you said I used to be closed off. Well, there were a lot of guys who hit with a closed stance. And also, it's kind of modified now. Now what people say is the scissor. Well, the scissor is really, right, you driving yourself towards the first baseman. That's really what the scissor is.
You got me fired up with the scissor. I've been working on that for a year
I love
now.
it. I love it. Miguel Cabrera, one of the greatest scissors of all time. And it's not really scissoring. It's just really making sure that everything is going. I believe my basic philosophy of hitting is I'm thinking away, 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 and I'm letting the inside pitch take care of itself. I can't go in the other direction.
Yep.
If I'm worried about pull, I cannot handle anything middle out. So why wouldn't I be thinking hit it at the first baseman's forehead, and then just let the plane of my bat take over as far as where the pitch becomes. That's where I think power often is really accidental. It's pitch determinant, right? If you get a bad breaking ball that a lefty's trying to get on your back knee and it never makes it there, well, if you're thinking away, all you're going to do is just keep rotating, and that ball's going to go up and pull rather than focusing on pull, which is what we're doing so much of today, high and pull. What do you? I mean, you do that so well naturally.
Yes. So when you say everyone could say that, you know, I'm looking outside and I'm adjusting in. Everyone will say that, you know, but then they'll, you know, you may teach something that doesn't work for that.
Right.
And, you know, I've always had that thought, you know, I'm looking outside, but then I realized like sometimes what I was doing doesn't set me up for that outside pitch first. It's setting me up for that inside pitch first. And the scissor, like you
so
said.
Your mechanics weren't matching your approach.
Yes, exactly.
4 for 4.
But you said the scissor, it's not really a scissor.
No, it's not.
It's not. That's a byproduct of what is happening on your front side, you know, your timing.
No doubt.
It's a byproduct. And some guys, it may look like they're scissoring at the end of their swing, but they're really not. They're really just stepping closed. So, like you said, so many great hitters. Miguel Cabrera was a huge one. Mike Trout does it
all the time.
If you watch even like the oldest of old guys, Ted Williams stepped closed.
No doubt. So we kind of touched on a lot of things that I was thinking about, especially you grew up in the sweet spot of travel ball, right? So I'm not really opinionated. I just think kids don't play enough. You know, this fallacy about kids don't play a lot, kids play too much is absurd to me because I do the math. Kids just don't play a lot. And they're certainly not doing a lot of free play. They're not doing a lot of play where it's me, you, him, and we're setting up a game and we're improvising and innovating and really tapping into that part of our brain that we know this for a fact, is what makes you develop. Right?
Yeah.
Seeing different circumstances, making up different rules, all that stuff. So you are an outstanding player who, I use this phrase a lot, you kind of survived travel ball. How'd you do that?
Like you said, the most important thing is playing. You know, I talk to guys, you know, a lot of things I hear is TOE, just time on earth. That's what's going to get you better at baseball. Playing games, being in those situations, like you said, learning from that. But for me, travel ball was, you know, I wouldn't say it was as crazy as it was when I played. I don't think it was as crazy as it is now.
No, it's just getting exponentially crazier.
Yeah,
right. It's like a snowball rolling down.
For me, I played with the same travel ball organization from 8 to 17 years old. You know, I played with the same 3 coaches. They were great. Richmond County was great for me. And being in a situation where you're not playing for 3 weeks with one team, and it's, you know what, I'm going to go to Florida with this team, and then I'm going to go to Georgia with this team. That's not playing. That's showcasing.
Yeah, you're like a mercenary.
Yeah, and the difference between you could go practice showcasing, but that's not practicing playing, which we just said is what makes you better. When you play, you get better. When you showcase, you could get better at showcasing, but you're not getting better at playing.
I look at your numbers, right? Everybody loves numbers. And I tend to look at them a little differently than most people do. Because the numbers I really care about are how impactful are you? You walk almost as many times as you strike out, and you don't strike out a lot. Mm-hmm. And by today's standards, you almost never strike out. And I don't know that there's anything I would start with from ground zero if I was trying to build a hitter than the idea of never striking out, because it's hard to get to first base when you don't hit the
You
ball.
don't hit the ball.
Unless the ball hits you. so if you can master the hit by pitch, all right, you can make a fortune.
Which is a big, that is a mastery. Like,
There's
that's
two
a skill.
things I would master: the hit by pitch and the ball off the plate that goes like 40 feet in the air. You can't defend it. You would hit 1,000. Right? If I started a facility that only did that,
Ichiro.
I only did that, I would make a fortune. I just gave away a great idea. But and in all seriousness, those numbers to me, you hit for average, which is important. Batting average is important. It was, is, and always will be very important. You walk a lot. You don't strike out a lot, which means you put the ball in play. You put pressure on the defense. You can run. You do a lot of things. And I like to think of players. Some players are really good, but some players are really impactful.
Yeah.
I want an impactful player. And talk about that, because the numbers jumped out at me because I was ready to see, strikes out a lot, all that. And you have enough, you're enough of a power threat. I said to a player once who's now a very prominent player, I said, you need to divorce the home run and fall in love with the double. Mm-hmm. And it seems to me like that's what you've done.
Yeah, I mean, what is that, 5 for 5 now? He said,
what a day I'm having. It's an MVP year I'm having.
But, yeah, impactful is definitely the way I want to describe myself and how I always wanted to describe myself. It's finding out how to do that, right? So you brought up not striking out, right? And, walking, getting on base, putting pressure on defense, making contact. Then I think the next step is you got to score. Like, you got to score more runs than the other team.
That helps if you want to win.
People.
Last time I checked.
People, I think the most underrated stat is runs scored,
no doubt.
too.
No doubt.
Like, you're crossing the plate, that's a run for your team.
Why do you have that characteristic? And how did you make it through in a world where all you see, and literally, if you take a look at social media and even major league organizations, I've spoken to guys who are like, I'll give you a real quick thing. He's a hitting coordinator of a team. Anyway, how I don't know. But anyway, second and third, ground ball between second and third, right-handed hitter pulls it between, drives in 2 runs. And I'm standing right next to him. This is in spring training. I'm standing right next to him. He says, yeah, we don't want that. And I'm like, what don't you want? He goes, well, the ground ball. I said, yeah, but that's a good piece of hitting. He just drove in 2 runs. So he lectured me. He kind of did like, patted his head because he felt sorry for me. And he said, yeah, but that's not as performant as a line drive. So he said, I'd rather have him line out to second base. I said, so you're not playing to win? Because that's not playing to win, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, the last time I checked, you want the guy who hits the ground ball between. Now, the thing that really struck me, it was like a light bulb went off, is I realized that, I said, you think there's a menu, like the hitter has a choice? Like he's just been making bad choices for the last 130 years?
Yes, I'd love to hit a line drive.
You don't go up to the plate and say to the umpire, I'm going to order the 383-foot line drive, 1 bounce off the right center field fence. And as a matter of fact, I would say this, that the pitcher and the 7 guys that stand behind the pitcher have more to do with whether or not you get a hit than you do.
Big time.
So any hit you get, you have to cherish, right? The demonizing of the single, to me, has really hurt the hit tool.
It seems so simple, and it's like, it's the simplest, it really is. Baseball it's unbelievably simple, and like, for me.
It's not easy, it's simple.
When it comes to the striking out, it's like, there's, what worse feeling is there than striking out? I'm the kind of guy where I might get a little too heated.
That's a fact.
You know what I'm saying? And like, if I strike, when I strike out, there's not a moment on the baseball field where I'm more upset than that, especially if there's a guy on third base.
That's a void.
Because not only did I let myself down, I let the team down. You think the team cares when we win 3-2 that I hit, because trust me, I've hit a lot of hard outs too, and I'm not going to feel sorry for when I hit a ball 65 and it's a hit.
Not. And they don't all even out. You hit a lot more hard balls for outs than you do soft ones for hits.
Whoever said that it evens out is a liar.
Never played. Never played for an hour in the game. There's been a lot of changes in the game. In your lifetime, maybe unprecedented. Seriously. I don't know in all my life that over the last 7 or 8 years, there's probably been more changes to the game than there have been in the last 50 combined, right, cumulatively. What changes do you like and what don't you like?
I love the bigger bases. we don't have them yet.
You like to steal bases.
Yeah, I can't wait.
There's no interest like self-interest, Jack.
True that. But, yeah, I mean, the bigger bases, and we were just talking about it before, the whole changes to the thing. I think, myself, I like to take pride in, like, the old school meeting, the new school, like in the middle.
Fair enough.
And
I don't.
But, growing up, I played for, like hard-nosed Northeast baseballers, and, that's the way I was taught the game, and it's just the same game, no matter
Do you like the pitch clock?
I love it.
Really?
I love it. It locks me in as a hitter. I stay in the box, and I'm I like to play the game within the game always, and that pitch clock gave me an opportunity to do that too. Like a guy who likes to get on the mound quick and stuff, I'll sit there and I'll look at the plate and I'll look at the pitch clock over there until there's 1 second until I have to pick my head up, and I'll pick my head up,
Oh, I have to drill you on that right there. I love that.
Yeah.
See, that's something I want to drill you if you're on the other team, but I love if you're on my team.
Yeah.
Right? So you referenced something, a really great thing that we were talking about before. You grew up in the Northeast. It's hard. It's really hard. I don't think people really understand the disadvantage that you have being in a cold weather place. Talk about some of the challenges and how you kind of, made your way, navigated those challenges.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. I mean, when you look at
That's 6.
when you talk about I played football and baseball growing up. I played basketball too. And when it was January, I didn't want to go outside and hit with the snow at the Berry homes. You know what I mean? It's freezing.
Dude, I think about the time. I would leave my off. When I was coaching at St. Francis, I was telling you before, we were playing at the Narrows, which is in Coney Island, which, aside from Mount Everest, is the coldest place on the face of the earth.
I don't know. That Staten Island Ferry Hawks place it gets freezing too.
No stands, no grandstands to block the wind. I mean, it is brutal. It's literally like right on the water. By the time I got to the Narrows, somehow a 58-degree day turned into like a 37.
You're saying the Narrows?
The Narrows.
Okay, yes, I know that place. I thought you were saying De Niro, like Robert De Niro.
He was on the show one time. He's making fun of me. So anyway, we go to the Narrows. It would be like 37 degrees, and you would start to it was all you could do just to feel your hands. And this is as a coach. I don't have to play. Yeah. I just have to endure going out there and coaching and then getting back in the dugout and doing everything we could to get warm again. As a player, I just think there's something really resourceful about you guys that you can endure the conditions.
Nobody wants to be out there when it's freezing. If you're hitting or if you're pitching and you want to be out there more than the guy who you're facing against,
big advantage.
That's almost the game right there.
You're an elite player, but you've also figured it out, and somehow you figured it out in an environment that does not encourage figuring it out. It encourages, here, I'll help you. Here, I'll do it for you. Here, let's go inside and you could work on this. And that's why we talked about swinging rather than hitting. Nobody hits anymore. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of swing smiths. You know, it's like in golf, you don't play golf swing, you play golf.
Yeah.
And when I look at you in the batter's box, you look to me like a guy who's a baseball player who's now at bat. Not like a guy who's swinging, trying to think about how to swing.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
So like what I talked about before, the game within the game is like, that's realistically the game. You know, like if you could win the game within the game, like more often than not, you play good baseball, like over a 56-game season, you're going to win more games than you lose, right? So many great old school baseball players say stuff like that all the time. It's like, if you just play good baseball, yeah, you might not win this game, but you're over 162 games or a 60-game season like we play, you're going to end up winning. But like we were talking about, figuring it out, right? I mean, just what I talked about before with the pitch clock, like something as small as that, you know, I might not hit a double at bat, you know, but I may work the pitcher a few more pitches, you know.
Everything matters.
And for me, you know, like you said, I believe in my talent all the time, and I think I have very special abilities, but it's not like I'm like somebody we were talking about before, like Bobby Witt. Like I
You're
wasn't
not a genetic freak.
And so I have to be good at stuff like that in order to be an impactful player, like we were talking about.
Jack, what a blast! I
Yeah.
can't tell you how much I appreciate. We got to do this again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, you could be like a regular guest. We got to get into like the weeds with hitting.
Big
right?
time.
We will definitely do it again. I can't thank you enough. And seriously, I think you're an outstanding player. I think you have a bright future. Nobody knows what the future is going to bring, but you're going to have a great year. I'll be rooting for you really hard. You're a terrific guy and a terrific player, and I can't thank you enough, man.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Thank you, Tommy.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you very
And I
much.
want to thank OB Social, Chris Renna. Get over here. It's a great place. It's a fabulous vibe. I can't say enough good things about it. And once again, if you join up, I'll give you a virtual swing lesson on the simulator. OB Social, terrific place. Thank you. We are out of here.